Hey, how you guys doing? Super excited to be with you today as we look at the power of sharing your story. So, what is it that you can do? And we're just looking through some slides right now. What is it that you can do to get huge amount of clients and business and referrals over time through simply telling your story, through telling your story? And I want us to understand that your social story, this term social story, is the personal messages that you put on social media over time. Over time. Now, there's a great worksheet for this. If you want the worksheet, just type worksheet in the comments below. Could you type worksheet in the comments? We're going to be working through this about 15 minutes. The goal is that you'll have 12 great stories to share on social media that build a huge amount of trust and connection with you, that get people talking, commenting, sharing, inbound messaging you. It's so powerful. Just talking to John Pugh yesterday, or the day before yesterday actually, and he had one post that got him 3 listings. One story post, 3 listings. Personal, powerful stories can get people inbound messaging you, can make a huge difference to your real estate brand over time. Does that make sense? If you're hearing these messages, put make sense in the comments. If you want the worksheet, put our worksheet below. What we understand here is that if you don't have a strategy as the parts of you that you're going to share on social media, there's no strategy to it. There's 3 mistakes that you're most likely going to make. You're either going to be unfiltered, which means you're going to randomly, haphazardly, accidentally share all sorts of shit, pardon me, on Facebook, and it's not going to build any trust at all. In fact, it's going to obliterate trust. Or you're not going to, because you don't have a strategy, you're not going to share anything at all, and so you're going to appear somewhat invisible, right? Or thirdly, you're going to have one story without a strategy. You're going to share it over and over again, different versions of the same story, and people are going to see you as a one-trick pony, and you're going to be dull, and you're going to be a bit boring. So the solutions for this, so you're not unfiltered, invisible, or a one-trick pony, what we want to do is give you a clear strategy for sharing stories today during this call, so that you build trust with people, that instead of being invisible, that you are top of heart. So people feel a strong connection to who you are because they feel like they know you. And instead of being a one-trick pony, because you are well known, they're more and more curious about you, and you are fascinating to them, and you have a whole sphere of influence who are waiting to hear your stories. Now, if you could grab your worksheet. If you don't have the worksheet, type worksheet below this live video in the comments, and we'll get you that. So just go ahead and type worksheet there. If you need to, make sure you do that. Go ahead, type worksheet. All right, are you there? So there are 6 different ways that people tend to get stuck when it comes to telling their story online, and I want to make sure that we solve this problem. Just checking the live here. Give me 1 second as I check the live. All right, so here are the stories that we sometimes get stuck with. So sometimes things are a little bit haunted if all we do is we stay stuck in the deep past. So we're sharing stories from the past. There's one particular type of story. We're not connected to the future or anything light. So if we're stuck telling the same old past story, we're going to be perceived as haunted. If we are stuck in the past but telling light stories, like my dad used to tell cricket stories over and over again from the past, his highlight reel, then we're going to appear lost. We're going to appear lost, right? Because we're stuck in the past. If we are always in the future telling light, superficial now stories, a lot of realtors make this kind of mistake about them going to the gym, about the foods that they're going to cook, about their, if you perceive that your everyday mundane life is so fascinating that you share it with people all the time, the perception is you're going to be superficial. And if you share deep future stories all the time about these grandiose things you want to accomplish, then you're going to be seen as faking it, right? So those are the 4 main stories, but there are a couple more where we see people tend to do. So sometimes people will stay very much in the present. So we don't hear about their past life. We don't hear about their future goals. It's all about today. And if you're there, you're somewhat untethered. We don't know where you're from. We don't know where you're going. It doesn't breed trust. And then some people don't go light and don't go deep. They just talk about real estate all the time, and that's dull right here. So I'd love to know, if you're watching the live, where you most commonly get stuck, where you most commonly finding yourself right here. Are you 1, haunted, 2, lost, 3, superficial, 4, sometimes faking it, 5, untethered, 6, dull? What are you? Pop that down. You see some people here. What is your tendency? Where do you tend to be when it comes to sharing stories, both offline and online? Okay, so if you haven't got the worksheet, this page here is going to give you 12 different stories to tell over the next 12 weeks. One story a week that will utterly transform your business. Now, we're not going to get too much into exactly how to tell the stories today. That's part of our clients program, but we can talk about that at the end. But I want to give you 12 great stories to tell. So go ahead, if you've got a piece of paper, draw this out on a piece of paper if you don't have the worksheet. Go ahead and divide the past, that's your life from the day you were born to today, divide it into 3 sections. 3 sections, so 3 lines there. What I want you to think about is childhood here. So there will be a story from your past that is somewhat deep that really shaped you. So if we come in here, a story from your past childhood that shaped you, that made you who you are, something deep, something profound. Maybe a stranger was incredibly kind to you when you were a kid, or maybe your parents got divorced and it shaped you. We had somebody who, in our clients program, whose parents got divorced and they were the eldest child and they brought up 8 children with their mother, right? 7 younger children. They were the eldest of 8. Hugely shaping story. When we know that about that person, we know that they've had an incredible life, overcome huge odds, so it builds a lot of trust. So what's one story from your childhood that's deep, that shaped you? Then go up above the line. What's one thing that was light, one memorable experience, one success, one thing that was remarkably fun, etc., that really colored your life in? Like, I remember I won a disco dancing prize when I was 8 years old, and all I did was I just moved my body as fast as I could, as much as I could. Can't dance to save me, but I learned that if I try really hard, I can achieve great things, right? So what's one story that's light from your childhood? We want to move to teenage years. What's one thing that happened in your teenage years that was of a deeper type of story, so below the line, that really shaped you and helped you turn out the way you did? For me, got real sick on my 12, 13-year-old, around that age, on a school camp. Teacher told everyone I ate too much and I was greedy, but I ended up having 2 feet of intestine removed and was super sick, but overcome those odds. So what's one thing that happened in your teens that really shaped you? Could be positive or negative or in between. Doesn't matter. Then in your teenage years, what's one experience you had that really colored things in? Something you really learned from a person or an experience. So go ahead and put that story down there. Then we're looking at adult years, right? What's one thing in your adult years that really shaped you? An experience, a story that you lived, something that you overcame, that really has made you into the person that you are. Like me, maybe traveling to the United States from New Zealand via England and being an immigrant in a completely new country. Undeniably shaped who I am, right? What's one thing that happened in your life as an adult in the past that gave you a lot of color, right? Huge possibilities here, everyday light things. Someone, for example, in our family, we have 2 kids, someone has been taking loose change from the money jar, right? So we decided to have a moratorium on money and said, whoever's been taking money can put it under the pillow of the person they took it from. So I thought this was a great excuse to be funny, so I got a $50 note and I put it under my wife's pillow, and she immediately assumed that one of the children had stolen a lot of money, and the look on her face was hilarious. And this is a story about having fun, sharing family, people feeling like they know who you are in your family area. So again, we want 6 stories from your past. 1 deep from your childhood, 1 light from your childhood, 1 deep from your teens, 1 light from your teens, 1 deep from your adult life, 1 light from your adult life. And your goal will be to share those 1 a week for the next 6 weeks. 12 weeks. Then we want to look at future stories. So people are drawn to refer you, use your services when they feel like they know who you are. Part of that is the past, but also momentum going forward is super important. So let's divide the future up into 3 categories here, if we could. Is this helpful so far? Do you have some stories? I know we're moving super quick, but I wanted to outline this worksheet. If it's helpful and you're watching, please put helpful in the comments right now. Could you put helpful? Go ahead, type helpful in the comments. See, we've got a pretty good tribe on here right now. Just type helpful in the comments. Go ahead. Helpful. Yep. Helpful. Yep. Good. Helpful. Okay, great. So when we think about the future and stories you can tell about the future, we're really talking about dreams and experiences that you want to have, like goals and dreams. So the dreams are the deeper stuff, right? And the experiences are the lighter stuff. And let's divide the future up into 3 specific categories. Things you want to have happen in the next month, things that you want to have happen in the next year, and then legacy things, big, massive goals, right? And you're going to find that some of these categories are harder for you and some are easier for you. Typically, childhood is quite easy for people. Typically, but not always, right, Lanita? Great, Tonya. Glad this is helpful. All right, so when we're talking about the next month, what I want us to think about for the next month is what is a deep goal that you want to have around the holiday season, the turning over of the new year, that you could share that's a story. Is it, like for me, I might want to really spend some time with my mum, and she's elderly, and really reconnect with her in a way that's really powerful, because she's not doing so great, right? A light experience could be, I want to take the kids snorkeling for the first time in all these different areas. And so that could be that, or it could be about my son's fishing party on Saturday, right? So people are feeling like they're getting to know you right now. That's very important. Next thing, a year. What do you want to have happen? A deep goal for the next year. I want my business to grow, but I want to be more connected to my family than ever, because family matters, right? That's a deep goal. What's an experience I want to have? I want to take my family to Fiji. So I want them to see, something like that. So I want you to think about a story for deep story for the year, light story for the year. Does that make sense? If it makes sense, type make sense in the comments. Go ahead. Make sense. Melissa, I see you're watching. Great. Very cool. But make sense in the comments. Be great. As we move on to the legacy part, the last one on the right here. Remember, people refer and want to take part in what you're doing and tell others about you when they see that you have a real reason for selling real estate, when they see that you're a real, living, powerful human being. This is super powerful, guys. We had Heather McPherson finally got her to share a story this week, and within 5 minutes, a client called her up, a new client, and said, I want to work with you. John Pugh, 3 clients from 1 listing from a story. Martin Percival does a great job of this when it comes to sharing his story. People feel super connected to him, gets lots of referrals and business from Facebook. Amazing stuff. Also, Randy Lusk did this week, shared a story about his journey from the past, and he had 745 likes on that story. So like super, super powerful connections points. If all you do is post trivial shit, people aren't going to feel like they know you. If they don't feel like they know you, they're not going to refer you, and they're not going to use you. This is a way to stay in people's consciousness for a long time through your story. It also sets you apart from every other realtor. No one can compete with your story. So make sure that you get some really great stories. Right now, we're working on the last, right to the right of this table, legacy stories. Legacy stories. What must you achieve? Oh, hang on, let's start this again. What do you want to be known for before you leave this earth? What do you want to be known for? I know that April, yesterday when I workshopped this, she said, I like real estate, but I want to be known for making the world better. And there's a powerful story to share with her tribe, with her people. Like, look, I'm 70 years old. I want to be known for making a big difference in the lives of others. She could even say, I don't really give a shit about selling real estate. It's just my way of helping people. But we want people to know her heart, know her overarching legacy that she wants to leave behind. And I want your people to know that about you, because they will move heaven and earth to help you when they know what you're about. And for some of us, we have to do the hard work of figuring, what am I about? And we can help you with that. Top right hand corner, what's your bucket list of experiences? Like, what's one thing you must do that's lighter before you die? I must skydive. I'm terrified of heights, but I'm going to do one at some point, sometime, right? So go ahead and let me know in the comments at this point, have you got some good ideas for stories? Have you got some good ideas for stories to share? Type yes, type good ideas. If you type good ideas in the comments, that would be fantastic. Just type good ideas into the comments. I've got a couple of minutes left, and I want to make sure that you have some good ideas using this story system. Now, there are many different ways for you to share these stories. Yep, good ideas, good ideas, good ideas. Great. Many different ways for you to go over this, but basically we want to hear a great story from you every single week so that people can really connect. Now, you can use these stories in all sorts of different places. We're thinking primarily about your Facebook profile, but you can share them on Instagram. You could share them on your Facebook story. You can share them via email. You can share them in multiple places, but your people need to get to know you. Otherwise, you're just playing top of mind drip email feed, for example, and no one's really getting to connect and know you. And when you do this right, you unlock a huge connection with other people. You can just plot it out and decide which week am I going to do which. Start with the one that feels the most comfortable and commit to telling that story on Facebook this week. There are a couple of different ways to do it. Again, we're not going to super get into the how of doing this. What I want you to focus on, if we can, is decide, am I going to tell this written or am I going to tell this on video? And then just tell the story as powerfully and with as much emotion and heart as possible. Now, again, we have specific trainings on how in our clients program, on how to unpack each particular story, how to write them out so that they're really readable and attractive and engaging to people. Can't get into that today, but I want to make sure that I helped you as much as we could get some clear stories to really bless people with for this season. If you want information about our clients program and know more about how we can use stories to get you listings and leads and referral partners, then please type clients